And we are live. Hello, hello, and welcome, everyone. You made it to another Spotlight Hour. And this, I couldn't be happier today because today I'm so thrilled. You guys, I cannot tell you. If you can tell, I'm excited because today we have a person here with us that that he's an inspiration for me already for so long. And I mean, I'm a TTRPG creator prodigy, and I can only aspire to at some point, maybe, hopefully, be at that level. I'm so sorry if I already make you feel, feel
No,
bad.
it's fine. It's fine. It's fine.
Great.
Fine.
But
I'll graciously accept. Thank you. That's very nice. See?
amazing. He already talked. Let's not drag it on. We have the amazing Jack Panic of Dungeon Club with us. Chat, please applause. Welcome, Jack. I'm so happy you're here.
Thank you. Thank you. Calm down. Calm down over there. Hi. I'm so happy to be here. This is so cool. Thank you for having me on. I'm happy that we finally got to meet face to face. I'm also a fan of
Yes.
yours. So the love is mutual for sure. The
I'm
love is
getting red.
mutual.
If I'm getting red, this is why I'm getting red.
I'm always red. I just have that red pallor. So
That's perfect.
but
That
yeah, no, I'm
definitely
super
helps.
excited to be here. So thank you for having me.
Thank you too. And to everyone, welcome in chat who came by. To all the people who don't know us, I mean, you guys know Jack, but you might not know me. Real quick, it's not about me. I am Arthur the Bard. I'm one part of Bard and Raven, the channel that you're watching on this beautiful interview today. Bard and Raven, the other half of Bard and Raven, is already in chat, typing away, keeping you all company and excited. It is the beautiful, the Jamie Raven. Please chat, say hi to the Jamie Raven as well. She will be today's moderator for you. And also, she will be gathering your questions. If you have questions for Jack, leave them in chat. She will gather them, send them to me, and towards the end of the stream, if we have time, and there are questions, maybe you don't have questions, but why wouldn't you have questions? We will ask Jack a few questions from the viewers. Anyways, as I mentioned, this is not about us. This is our Creator Spotlight, a series where we invite Daggerheart creators or other TTRPG creators that have just recently published something remarkable, something so amazing that we have to bring them on screen, interview them about it, show everyone how amazing it is, and talk about it. And what is it? It is just the very first official adventure frame from Darrington Press. And it is done with our beautiful Jack here. It is called Age of Umbra Shadowlands Road to Nowhere. You might have seen this. It is out since Wednesday, I believe. Oh my God, you have a print version. Of course you have a print version. I'm sitting in...
I barely got one.
Oh, you barely got one?
I barely got one, yeah.
I heard from Mike Underwood that that they claim they might have gotten the very last print version. They probably sprinted all the way there when they heard that
Yeah,
their stuff.
well, there was a big. I won't get into it, but there was a big because of some personal life stuff happened. Our timelines got kind of pushed, and as a result, the order didn't quite get in before Gen Con. So they literally, I think, stuffed like 50 in a briefcase, and
Oh
someone
God.
flew them out to the con the next day. So there were only 50 copies or so on the floor, I'm pretty
Oh,
sure. But
that,
there'll be a ton at PAX, and there might be other ways in the future. Who knows? I don't know.
hopefully, please bring them. I mean, you probably can't do this, but Darrington Press, if you're
I
watching,
can't.
please bring them to Europe. Thank you so much.
There you go.
Anyways, this is an interview, as you can tell. We're already in the middle of it. Quite unstructured, as usual with Bart and Raven. We hate structures. I still have a couple of questions written down that we loosely stick on. But let's start into the actual session. The Creator Spotlight with Jack Panic. Are you ready?
Oh, I'm ready.
So ready.
Let's
Jack,
rock and roll.
would you be so kind and tell me, what is your story? How did Dungeon Club come to happen?
Yes. I've been playing tabletop role playing games since 2008 ish. I dropped out of college my junior year. It was a music theater major, so it wasn't super useful. And I needed something to do, and my buddy was like, "You want to play Pathfinder?" So I started with Pathfinder 1, and then I played D&D 5e for a decade, a smidge of other games, some White Wolf. Um, and the kind of the crux of it all is that I learned my favorite thing about 5e was the empty spaces in between the design that needed filling. That was the thing that really drew me to playing that game. And then I started making videos on TikTok during
Mm.
the old quarantine times, and I was doing okay. I had some people that followed me, but I made a graphic on TikTok and it just blew up. And then I made a micro game, and that did even better. And I then treated making content, like making game pieces, making little bits and bobs that you could put in system neutral style, mostly roll D20 rollover stuff, so stuff that you can still use in D&D. I started doing that. I would make 7 posts some weeks, 9 posts others. For about 7 or 9 months, I treated posting a graphic on TikTok each day like it was my job, much to my wife's chagrin. She's like, "What are you doing?" Um, and I grew a modest following, and I was able to kind of parlay that into a little bit of a mostly what I parlay that to is experience. So then at this point, I'd been practicing layout all by myself. I was already a kind of a part-time illustrator before, so it was just a new skill to learn. And the truth is, I just wanted to make game pieces, but no one would, no one knew me, and who's going to make, you got to, the truth of the space is you got to make stuff yourself.
Yes.
If you want to make stuff, the only thing to do is to make it. And so I gave myself permission to make bad art, and then slowly it became, stuff I'm really proud of, stuff I'm really happy with, and that's, I think, the best you can do, you know.
Now I'm
And then
really interested. Can we still find this early TikTok Jack Panic things?
yeah. All the Dungeon Club,
Ooh.
my TikTok on Dungeon Club is a whole archive. Also, most of those little things are on my Patreon. A lot of it's for free. Um, yeah, you can definitely find all that stuff still.
Oh my God! If
And
it's
I
on
have
your Patreon,
I have
then
some.
if
Go
it's
ahead.
on your
Sorry.
Patreon, then I'm sorry, because I must have not looked through all of the Patreon stuff, because I am a
It's
patron
not.
a
It's
couple of
not.
months back.
It's not super well organized.
Okay, great.
I got.
Then it's on you,
Yeah.
not
Well,
on me.
yeah.
Okay.
Yes, it's on me. It's not definitely on me. You know how it is. You have to make the games, and you have to make all the stuff for the games, and you have to make the marketing for the games, and you have to post about the games, and then you have to do the back end stuff, and things get lost along the way. So, to my beautiful patrons who, I love you guys. I'm sorry that I'm not better at running that, but yeah. So I did that, and then I transitioned out. I was a bartender,
Mm.
restaurant manager, most of my adult life, and then I transitioned out of that job by running paid GM games. I did that for about 3 years,
Start
and
playing,
I
or
would
where
work.
did you run it?
Start playing, yeah,
I
yeah. I did all my games to start playing. Shout out, start playing, changed my life. Um, super cool people, super cool platform. But yeah, I ran at one point. I was running 7 games a week.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Um, they were all different games. They all shared they all had the same shared universe, and it was super fun. It was very very taxing. So,
I imagine.
and then I had to shift. I had to shift because I got enough opportunities between doing a little bit of layout work here and there, and just like the unabashed belief of my wife, Tara, who's the only reason when people ask me how do you do all the things you do, I say it's autism and my wife are the main reasons that I'm able to do the things I do. So the support, she supported me, and she said you got to follow your dreams, and I believe in you, and we've been making it work. It's not a glamorous life, but it is a well earned one, a well lived one, and that I enjoy.
I love to hear that. Um, I must also say that my partner is so important in all of the operations at Barton Raven do. So I feel the sentiment so much.
Yes, yeah.
Having two people that support each other so well.
It's an
It's an
incredible
awesome
bless.
feeling.
It's a blessing, to borrow
Yes.
a phrase. Yeah, for sure.
Amazing. Wow, that is quite a road that you followed there. Amazing. And this would be a very good
A
segue
road
if we
to
would already go to nowhere, but we're getting there. We're
somewhere.
getting there.
Yeah, yeah.
Road to somewhere. Exactly.
Right to
Um,
here.
right. Right, I also have written down. What is your base of operations? If you want to share it.
I'm based out of Oklahoma City, Oklahoma in America, the old USA, everyone's favorite country right now.
Yes.
Um, I it's an interesting place. I moved here to go to school in 2005, which was right around the time that Wicked the musical was popular on Broadway. And Kristen Chenoweth went to school at the school I went to, so
Mm.
I went here because it was supposed to be like the school that was going to get me. But I don't like being around people that much. I like people, but I get really stressed out in crowds. My name Jack Panic is not my real name. It is a name I've been using on the internet for forever. And panic is a descriptor
Oh yeah,
of my generalized anxiety. Um,
I feel
so
that.
I moved out here to go. I moved out here to go to music theater school, and I, despite the state not being the greatest in terms of politics, the city where I live is really lovely. It's got vibrant arts and queer community. It's incredibly diverse. The cost of living is very low, so there's surprisingly a lot to love about Oklahoma City. And there aren't that many game designers, so I'm kind of like,
Oh,
you know, I, I
that
get to
helps.
just kind of by default be the big dog, you know.
But I think
I'm
Oklahoma
joking.
City is not that great for getting lost at night when you're driving on some cities. When how's my
Um,
driving?
yeah. Well, and yeah, you'll notice all my modern games I set in Oklahoma because no one knows unless you've been to Oklahoma, no one knows what Oklahoma's like. So you can use any kind of temperament or like I think in How's My Driving 2, Cameron describes the deserts of Oklahoma. There are no deserts in Oklahoma. That's that's outlandish, but it works.
Amazing. Right, yeah, guys, if you have not seen How's My Driving, this is a little TTRPG that is out there, and also a actual play, two-part actual play series with the same name. It is amazing. We could have a whole talk about just how amazing How's My Driving is, but this is not the point today. Let's move on. Let's go back to Daggerheart.
Yeah.
So you've created already many different TTRPGs. You mentioned this, micro RPGs, TTRPGs, and also some Daggerheart hacks, like How's My Driving, and my
Yes, How's My Driving is Daggerheart hack.
personal favorite, though, like there's now a big contender, just the one on the over here,
Sure.
Bureau of Chronological Affairs (BCA), which is
The
just like a
BCA,
Doctor
yeah.
Who Loki Daggerheart hack,
Yeah,
which is
I
so
I
cool.
had I had just finished watching Severance because I waited till all the
Yes.
the seasons came out, and I have quite a few friends in the indie space who have made games about liminal spaces, um, and obviously I'm a big fan of Triangle Agency, and I was at this point I think I'd already made How's My Driving, so I'd already adapted the chassis of the duality dice into its kind of like core, distilled it down to its like core elements. And I got to thinking, I'm a big proponent of systems matter, and you want to pick a game that is representational of the thing you're trying to experience. If you want to do 5 to 6 combats in a turn-based order RPG, then Pathfinder 2 or D&D is great for it, right? And you can do other things in those systems,
Hmm.
but if you want well, basically, if you want a specific experience, you get a specific system, and I make specific systems. So, but I was thinking about Daggerheart, and I was thinking how what it really is it's a narrative engine, a, a narrative action engine, more than it is a necessarily a fantasy game. Now, the default setting is fantasy,
Yes.
um, but I was like, so much of that is just flavor, and on top of that, there's a lot of like unexplored spaces in Daggerheart in terms of its design. It's a system that values addition. The way campaign frames are set up, you bring in new mechanics to
Yes.
emulate the things you want. So I thought I'll make a campaign frame. I want to get this Severance slash Control slash Loki slash Doctor Who. I want this I want a bunch of people, and they can be orcs and goblins, and I don't care.
Hmm.
You can still have all those fantasy elements if people want them, but I want them all in their suits and windbreakers with their and I want them running through the back rooms, and I want them dealing with paranormal anomalies, And so I made a campaign frame, just like a real, like an honest to God, I think like 8, maybe, I think it was a little longer, like 16-page campaign frame. But then the OSR, the old school revolution, old school Renaissance nerd in me was like, well, the SRD exists. I can just grab the rest of the rules and I can condense them down, kind of retweak a few of them, and then I can just have a full game. I love the idea of being able to hand it to someone who hasn't played Daggerheart and then be able to go, oh, I can play this. Because for a lot of people, aesthetics really are the key choice. It's they're just some people just aren't into high fantasy.
True.
So
Yes.
I was like, I can make a game. I can make this game. And I can hand it to other people, and they can kind of see the thing that I see in Daggerheart, right? Maybe through a different lens. And so it just kind of kept growing and growing, and I and then I made some more supplements for it. And honestly, it's of all my systems the games I've made, it's probably the game I have the most long-term support for in my brain, like things that I want to make for it, because I'm consistently thinking of new ideas that would be
Kept getting
fun to
back.
put down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, I've
It's
also seen
trying to
over on
support all my
your.
systems, but
No, of course. Yeah.
no, go ahead.
I've also seen over on your Discord, the Dungeon Donuts Discord, where some other people have made additions to BCA, which
Yeah,
is amazing. So
yeah,
I think I saw one of this was already a couple of months ago where they made little badges for their players that they could like stick onto
yes,
their shirts. It was
yes.
amazing.
Oh man. So cool. I'm anytime okay, you make games, you understand. Anytime anyone says my hair is crazy right now. What's happening? It I anytime someone says I played your game. I played the thing you made. I used the toys you made. Literally the best feeling in the world.
Oh yeah.
In terms of like validation and like and like to like the intent, it's like
Mhm.
I do make things that I want to play with or games that I want to play first and foremost, but I'm not making them in a vacuum. And
Mhm.
all the game designers I know, um, we want people to play with the stuff. So I'm always so elated when people tell me they played any of the games, but BCA specifically is
Yes.
one that I love.
And sadly enough, I've been gushing over BCA for so long now, and I still haven't run a single session of this. But this is only a matter of time. It will come
Let's
back
do
to
one
it.
let's do one on stream sometime.
Yeah,
Let's set it up. Let's do it.
I mean,
Or
you are
let's not even do that. Let's play privately. Screw
you
these guys. Let's play you and me.
exactly.
Yeah.
The fact that you just said it out loud, people will come back to that and like, have you guys played? Have you got plays? So is there a video of that already?
Yeah, let's do it at some point.
Just wanted to let you
Um,
know. But yeah, thank you for the offer.
yeah, yeah. I don't get to run it enough. So the only problem with design, you're a full-time content creator, game designer, you're doing this all the time. You don't get to play games as much as you want to.
Yes.
I do have a mandatory gameplay night with so Dungeon Club, the moniker, like if Dungeon Club is my rap name, I'm Dungeon Club, but also my Dungeon Club includes my buddy Nick and my buddy Sean, who are both game designers and professionals in other fields. And so on Mondays, and we get together, and my buddy Jimmy, we get together and we play test all the stuff. It's a less, it's really fun because I love they're my homies, so I enjoy hanging with them. But it is it's a less satisfying way to play because you're not necessarily getting to have full arcs. You're not getting to actually like get in. You're mostly just stress testing things to see
Yeah.
if it makes sense. That being said, I think we're going to actually end up doing a full Road to Nowhere campaign because we had so much fun last few times. So
I also wanted to mention that just real quick, you already made the segue to Road to Nowhere. So we will get there now for sure. Dear viewer and chat, you don't have to wait any longer. The one thing that I wanted to say, I can see what you also mentioned earlier with BCA, where funnily enough, now I lost my thread. I wanted to connect BCA with Road to Nowhere, but whatever, because I see lots of parallels there, of course.
Sure.
And let's jump right into this so that I can just brush under the carpet that I forgot what I wanted to say about.
No one knows you forgot anything but you, so that's
true, right? Right, exactly. Jack, would you be so kind? We are seeing on screen currently the beautiful cover, and I just talked to you earlier about before we went online on stream. Could you let us know who did this beautiful cover and art?
Yeah, I can. I did. I did everything in this book except for some really lovely developmental editing and some actual like word editing from a few friends at Darrington. But I did the. I used to be like an illustrator. Like I used to do like commissioned portraits and stuff for fantasy. And I just kind of stopped when I started really focusing on crafting game mechanics and doing layout. I was just trying to like expand those skills. And the problem with illustrations is you're only at the skill level you're at. So if you have a
Yes.
specific thing in your mind that you can't reach, it was a fun exercise to be like, actually, I'm going to find other things. I'm going to do photo bashing, or I'm going to commission other artists. A thing that I would have not done a few years ago. I kind of took my ego out of the drawing, right? So it's like, and now I'm like, oh well, I like this artist. I've got $100. I can grab a commission here, a commission there. But no, the main thing that happened here is that I had a very specific picture in my mind. This was originally going to be the Akira slide,
Yes.
and I couldn't get the proportions on that to look good. So I ended up with the Akira poster. Um, but I didn't have time to commission anyone. I just
Hmm.
was straight up just like we were running out of time. My mother passed away a few months ago, and that push, obviously made everything uh,
Quite
timeline
hectic.
slide.
Yes.
Yeah, and I was like, well, if anyone's going to do it, it's going to be you. And I had already had most of the work done. I had most of the actual like text done and most of the layout done. And I just was like, I'll give it a shot. It's kind of funny. I haven't drawn in a single game I've put out in the last 4 or 5 years. Um, but my biggest release with the most pressure and the most stakes, I dusted off my iPad and did all the illustrations for Road to Nowhere. Yeah.
Amazing. But
And this is actually a composite. It's one part. So the I drew the motorcycle and I drew the highwayman, and then the other parts I created in Affinity and Canva. So it's like a composite image as opposed to like me doing the
I
whole thing
figured,
by hand.
yes. But it,
Yeah,
it looks amazing, I must say. Uh,
thank you.
and how
I'm very
you
happy.
already mentioned that what was your timeline, or rather, more importantly, how did this whole collaboration between you and Darrington Press happen? I mean, we know that Travis
Right.
Willingham is a huge fan, at least of How's My Driving. That's why he made a cameo in How's My Driving too.
I,
If you
I, I,
haven't watched it,
I
watch it.
can't tell you. Yeah. That was bonkers. By the way,
Yes.
for the uninitiated, How's My Driving came out last October.
Mhm.
It's an incredible actual play by my very good friends at the Panic Table. Cameron Strip Matter is he's actually, we'll talk more about him later because I put him in the game.
Yes.
But fantastic. Obviously I'm biased. It's my game and these are my friends, but the power of that man's edit to make an actual play feel like a movie. I've watched that thing 3 or 4 times just because of how gripping it is. But so Travis watched it and he posted on X, or sorry, Twitter. And when he posted on Twitter, we got this massive spike, right? And the people at Darrington are very friendly. They have lots of open channels. I had already had a handful of conversations with Spencer and Rowan, and we were just like, "What's the worst thing we can do is say, hey, they like this. Would you want to support us in some way?" And Cameron was just like, "Well, let's ask him to do a voiceover of the thing." And then he's like, "Actually, no, I'm going to ask him to do a video." And Travis just did it because he's a super nice guy. I've never met Travis. I've had no communication with Travis,
Mhm.
but it is really fun how they like, took time out of their day and he got in front of the green screen. And he read the script and did multiple takes, and very cool. And then just did it for free for fun. Like that's
Amazing.
wild. And then beyond that, I don't know how much of these roads are the road to nowhere are the same road or parallel roads. So the How's My Driving stuff obviously probably helped. It's already Daggerheart based. We ended up getting nominated for an Ennie, so we were in the same category at the Ennies as Daggerheart for how get your sheet together. And then also I just ended up having a couple of fans over at Darrington. I won't name drop because I don't know how
How they feel about it? Yeah.
I have nothing. I'm not. I'm out of respect for privacy, but
Yes,
the
makes
person
sense.
who brought me on, I was just a fan of my stuff. Had already bought a bunch of my stuff off of Itch. I already had one of my sweatshirts, so this was just a pure just really fortunate. I put a lot of stuff out there, and it happened to see the right eyes, and it happened to hit the right personalities, and things meshed, and they reached out to me, and it was in my spam mail
Oh
for the
no.
longest time. So by the time I got back to them, they still wanted to do it. And they basically were like, we just need, we're doing a bunch of promo stuff for Age of Umbra, the Shadowlands, and would you want to make a zine? And I'm like, of course I'd like to make a zine. Yes, thank you.
Say less. Yeah.
Um, say less, yeah. Um, and we met, and they were so gracious. They had some stuff. It seems like to me, and we didn't go into it too deep, honestly. This was as soon as we started talking and collaborating, I had my ideas, and off I went to go make the thing. But um, it was really cool. The Mad Max of it all. It seems like there were a few concepts that were pitched in Shadowlands pre what ended up being in the series. And now the series is out. I guess we can talk a little more freely about it. But and I think that the idea was like, well, these are fun ideas. What if we gave them to Jack to make, and then we can just slap non-canon on it, and it's a collaboration versus like a full. I mean, it's a Darrington product. They own the game; it's theirs, and I made it for them. But they really gave me carte blanche. We had a bunch of conversations back and forth about what we wanted in the game,
Hmm.
what we wanted the module to be. I'm not going to spoil anything because I know the thing just came out last night, so anyone who missed it, uh, if you're a
I
critter or
also
whatever.
haven't watched
But
the latest episode. My
okay,
partner and
yeah.
I, we
So,
just watched the first half an hour ago. But yeah.
but the whole idea of the elusive city,
Hmm.
that city that appeared, I was basically we're like, what if we did a counter to that, so if someone wanted to replicate beats of Age of Umber Shadowlands, they could be like, oh, we've heard of this city appearing out of nowhere. And that's when it all kind of came to me. I was like, okay, cool. And then with the Mad Max thing was kind of like one of the main influences that they wanted to reinforce. There's a group of traders in the first episode that they meet that are kind of like Mad Max flavored, and then
Oh
because
yes.
they seem like they're bandits, and that I think was the heaviest Mad Max moment in Age of Umber Shadowlands proper. So then my task was to take the ideas that we had. It was supposed to be an 8-page zine. It ended up being
24.
24 with page and cover and all that. Yeah. Um, and then my job was, how do I make these themes? Now, obviously, it's going to be a tonal switch. It's going to be a big gut punch if you're expecting like Dark Souls. If you're expecting just like blasphemous, like that kind of like gothic horror fantasy kind of vibe, dark fantasy vibe. But in my head, I was thinking all of my favorite properties, they might have like an animated series with them, right? That takes the thing, it doesn't change the lore, it doesn't change the setting, but really tonally shifts it so that I was thinking it would be really fun. I got to watch all the episodes of the series before it premiered, obviously,
Oh nice.
in preparation. Um, and it was like, what if I created something that was so tonally different than what was presented in the show? Especially since I was, they wanted me to make some vehicle rules. They wanted like a big creature. The city we'd already agreed would be some sort of moving city. Originally, it was going to be like a city of barbarians that would set up camp every night.
That is
But
interesting.
then I
So
just kept thinking,
these ideas came from Darrington Press then, that they basically told you, hey, would this be fun? Could you add this?
yeah, it was very
Ah,
collaborative. I
nice.
mean, in terms of the actual inception of ideas and the checklist of things that we wanted, me and my friend over, at Darrington, I'm probably being too. I just people's lives like to keep everybody, but it was nice we had this nice back and forth, and then they were like, yeah, okay, go. And then I just started making it, and I think there was just a lot of trust there already because they already liked my work. I've already made a lot of Daggerheart stuff. So I think that I showed mastery of the system, and then they gave me great developmental editing. So if a thing wasn't quite in the philosophy of it was too harsh or didn't give enough player choice, or I had some real nice help on that to give me other options or other like viewpoints to kind of like make it really align. Now, I do feel like I should go ahead and say right now, Adventure Frame is something I slapped on this because
Ah, I see.
I thought it hit the core of what it was compared to what Darrington had already released. But in terms of like Adventure Frames are not an official thing. And they were, this is just how much trust they had in me and how little constraints creatively they wanted to put on me. They were like, we don't, this is a collaboration. You're
Yeah.
making this with us. So we're not going to stifle you. And with the non-canon and all that. So this is just what I think an adventure frame should be. That's not a term they use. So
Right.
I've seen people talk about that, but I do think that I stand by it. I didn't take it out because I
Mhm.
stand by it. I think that in the same way a campaign frame sets up a grand reaching narrative for your entire gameplay, an adventure frame is not a 5-act story to follow, or as loosely as you want to. Which I think that I love that kind of stuff. I think there's lots of that, and I think that that's a valid, cool way to do adventures in Daggerheart. But me personally, from my varied gaming experience, I like tool sets that just allow for the emergent narrative, which is one of the core philosophies of Daggerheart. So I think more of a less structured adventure for me personally. Like I said, I always make things that are just things that I would use, things that I would like. For me, this is the kind of tool that I would want. So, but yeah, they were super super. It was honestly, I mean, I've worked with some really cool people. Everyone in the industry has been nothing but kind and great to me. But this was one of the most fun experiences because of how much trust was there. I did a little pitch deck with color schemes and fonts and like a sketch out idea of like the cover, and then they didn't check in on me again until it was done. Until I was ready to have it edited and have it like looked at. So
That is a
pretty cool.
beautiful
And
story.
a dream as far
Oh,
as like being
yes.
an artist and a game designer. The absolute. Um, my fear now is that I'll never get a gig as solidly fun as that again. Do you know what I mean? Like that's a. I,
I get the fear, though. I'm pretty sure this is only the beginning for you and the beautiful
Well,
collaboration of you
sure,
two.
sure, and I will work on anything
Mhm.
that old Daddy Darrington wants to send my way, 100%. But this was just super fun to get this opportunity to make an imprint
Mhm.
and get to play in Matt Mercer's sandbox, and the fact that they were so cool with it being kind of tonally different, and I don't know, it was super neat.
Something that you mentioned earlier in Age of Umbrella Shadowlands, the first episode where the new cast meets these more Mad Max style crew. I would have loved if they just after the little exchange. I'm not spoiling this for people who have not watched Shadowlands yet. If they would afterwards on their bikes drive into the sunset and such, this would have
Sure,
been cool.
sure. Well, it would have been cool, but what it allowed for me was to completely create the lore around why these people have this thing.
Yes.
And if you've read through it, you'll notice that I don't use a lot of in my writing. I like a lot of evocative world building,
Yeah.
implied world building. I'm not a
Big fan.
super huge fan. There's basically one page of text that explains, and then everything else you learn from kind of reading through the different characters and the different. And I like the idea that the reason you don't see this in the rest of Age of Umbra is that if it was to be canon in your game, for instance, is because it's just these people that have it. They have a special horrible unholy machine, which is not really a machine. It's kind of just a sacrificial pit that they drop slag and metal and scrapings from the roadworm into, and then they throw their prisoners into it. And Sinestro Killjoy, the chief machinist of Nowhere, he thinks of a scheme in his head, and he uses his tools and the pit, and he fuses these things together. So it's like it's very specific here. So if you have characters who have never seen this, it could feel fresh and interesting as opposed to being like, oh yeah, motorcycles and trucks. Also, I love meta weirdness. So I like the idea of maybe this guy Dr. Killjoy having a brainwave to the real world, to like our world or to other fiction. So he's pulling these, like, the reason you're seeing big Mack trucks and these type of things, and they have races, is because he's getting brainwaves from across the multiverse,
Oh,
and
this
he's the only
is
one who can put those things together, you know.
there's
So
also a character similar to this in my favorite comic, One Piece, Dr. Vegapunk, who's also way above
nice.
everyone else. Sounds
Yeah, yeah,
pretty
yeah.
close to that, yeah.
Pretty similar. Yeah,
But
he's actually I based him off the Doctor Octopus
oh
from
yeah,
from Spider-Man. As
right, with
the
all of the
stat block,
chains. I see. Yes, yes, yes.
the
But
stat block I wrote, he just has tentacles,
yes,
the mechanist chains that work like tentacles.
I
Yeah,
remember
and
from. Sorry,
I
go ahead.
based him on Cameron. I based him
Yes.
on my friend from the Panic Table.
Maybe this was a good idea. Since we're talking about this, I can swap over to the little PDF that you did extra
Sure.
for this, that you gave out a
Yeah,
big stat block for Dr. Killjoy. This is what
I
people can see
wanted
on screen now.
I wanted to do ads, and this is how I do ads, is by making stuff. So
That's amazing.
there was just some extra stuff that was in there. But yeah, this is fun. I People might ask, why is the art? I saw somebody in one of the forums say, why is the art in the book different from this promotional art? And it's because I drew all this promotional art after we'd already shipped the book to print, because I was running out of time. And also, I like the idea of the silhouettes, because it means you get to project a little bit more
Yes.
personality on those characters. It's not as prescriptive. Um, but my intention was always that I put Cameron in the game, just as
I
for
love that.
fun, you know.
When I immediately
Um,
when I saw this illustration, I was thinking about Cameron. Because
yeah,
I mean, obviously, it is him.
looks like him, yeah.
That was very
Um,
fun.
And then I asked him to write me. I was like, "Hey, you're Killjoy. Write me like a line of flavor text." So I was going to put it right here at the bottom of this blurb, like the blurb about him, and then
Mhm.
like a little quote. And he sent me these 6 that you just flipped to,
Yep.
and I liked them all so much, and I could hear them in his voice. He's got a very like Disney villain from the '90s kind of way of talking about things. And I was like, I'm not getting rid of any of these. Instead, they're all going to be. I'm going to make them game mechanics, and that's what I did. So
Amazing. The villainous
Dr. Killjoy can,
vocalizations. Yeah.
yeah, he can. You get these 6 phrases you can use once a campaign, each one, and it essentially gives him an auto success or negates a success. It just is it's a ultimate fear token.
Oh yeah.
It's a, you know. And also, you may not get to this point with this character. If you decide that your characters in the Shadowlands might align with Killjoy. So my intent was not to make him a villain outright in the core book, but after I thought about it, it was like, well, what if people do want to fight him? I should probably give them stats for that,
Yeah.
because he is kind of an asshole. Um,
I mean, this person is such a big menace in the story or even a campaign if you want to run it that long, and such an important part of the big dead rig city. So yeah, I can
yeah,
see that it's needed.
the true power behind the throne.
Mhm.
He's
Yeah.
if the City of Nowhere is the Emerald City from Wizard of Oz, and the road is the Yellow Brick Road, he is the wizard behind the curtain, and Ramrodicus, the Immortan Joe style overlord, is actually he's dying. He's a shell. He's a figurehead. So he's the big figurehead that everyone looks at, the imaginary wizard. And actually, if you look at all the character art, those are all I've got a heartless robot, I've got a cowardly lion person, and
Oh
I've
yeah.
got a goober. So I actually made all those characters are just Wizard of Oz characters that
Oh my God!
just
How did I not see this? Together with the Jamie Raven the other day, we were thinking, oh, we saw in the inspiration that is Wizard of Oz, and we're like, "Well, who is the Wizard of Oz? Is it Ramrodicus?" But no, you're right. You made the whole cast. That is amazing. Love that. But we
and
haven't even.
also
Sorry.
with Killjoy, my favorite thing about Killjoy is I
Mhm.
wanted a villain whose main thing, adversary whose main thing was building environments.
Oh
So
yeah.
that was
Mhm.
his real power, is that he's smart and he builds environments, and those environments are their own like little things you have to deal with. Okay, sorry. Go
Okay.
ahead and say
And
what you.
you even brought back the last thing. You even brought back your Doomsday mechanic from BCA, where you
Yeah,
can
yeah.
also construct a Doomsday device, which is I love
Now
this.
the
I love
difference
Doomsday
here is
devices.
that this device doesn't destroy reality. Instead,
No, but
it makes everyone make a death move. You know, the cool thing about Daggerheart is that you don't die if you death moves don't mean you die.
Yes.
So I was like, it would be fun to have a thing that just basically forces a character can just take a scar and keep fighting.
Mhm.
Like the device won't knock them out if they don't want to, but lots of options there. So sorry, I
Amazing.
get very excited about my designs.
You don't have to be sorry. I get that. And I'm so happy to hear you or to listen to you talk about all of the ideas and stuff behind certain things. This is amazing. I'm having a great time. I hope you do have too. We haven't looked actually into Road to Nowhere yet. You have already touched a few points,
Sure.
also story points of Road to Nowhere. Maybe we can go through a bit of the adventure and show
Take me through
a
it.
few things.
Take me through it.
Do you want to do this? Do you want to give us the premise of Road to Nowhere?
Sure. Yeah, yeah. So the pitch of Road to Nowhere is that in the Shadowlands specifically, the ecosystem used to be a lake, and then it's a dried lake. So I was thinking about the evolution of life in those riverbeds, on that lake bed. And I was thinking, and I wanted to I'd already had the title in mind too, so it's always like a form factor. And I was thinking, okay, well, I want a massive creature to be the road. It's originally was going to be something flying with them, and I was like, no, it'd be great if they're on it.
Yeah.
And then I was thinking of how interesting it would be if, in the Age of Umbra, no one dies. Well, everyone dies, but there's no afterlife because all the gods have forsaken the world, and instead their souls become part of the Umbra, which is just this horrible, tumultuous force that makes everything dark and evil and more worse and mutations um, and I was thinking there have to be creatures. I'm doing my David Lynch voice. There has to be creatures that evolve, that would evolve to a point where the Umbra seems like it has some sort of semi-sentience. Not really sure. Doesn't really
I
matter.
agree. Yes.
But the roadworm is so dangerous. It is an alpha predator who literally grows from eating Umbra tainted creatures that the Umbra leaves it alone. And as a result, a crafty group of barbarians then turned into a society with the tools of a young captive. Killjoy was stolen from his raised his raised homeland and taken. They live in symbiosis with the roadworm, like a suckerfish around a shark. They ride with it and they hunt and they help it feast. And as a result, the Umbra stays away from them, partially because of how dangerous the roadworm is, but also because they are forced to travel with it. And I did the math. In it goes about a mile and 33 seconds is how fast the worm itself moves. So these are like ridiculously like Mad Max style whoosh.
It's so cool.
The people in the Shadowlands might see nowhere, but it's gone before they can even register what's happening with it because it's moving so quickly. And then they help it hunt, and when it eats, after it eats, it has to digest like a snake that swallows its prey whole. And while it rests, it crashes wherever it is, and it makes these Mario Kart style levels of, if it's on the side of a mountain, it crashes over here, and there's these big leaps. Or if it lands in what little water there is, it could have, And during this time, they open the city up. They invite other people in because their commerce is dependent on lots of things, including fresh victims. And while they do that, they race these races. And I had this idea. I was like, I'll tell you what wasn't on the docket of what I was supposed to make. I was not supposed to make a racing mini game. That was just me saying I need that in this. It's kind of a crux of what these people are. I wanted Nowhere's equivalent of chariot racing, of gladiatorial combat. I wanted that in the context of the things I had built, and so I ended up making these racing rules. So the locations in the city, there's 3 environments. They function as macro environments. That's the way I intended them. So they only have a handful of things that they do, but then you can nest in some of the the core or homebrew or whatever you want. Other environments into them to kind of fill out the city. And then then the racing game is, in my opinion, the crown jewel. It's one of my favorite little mini games I've ever built. I was thinking a lot about how uh, the Daggerheart philosophies of design, so much of it is reduce. It is make sure that you're not over explaining. Now I break that rule all the time. I mean, I have pages. None of my environments would fit in a standard Darrington
Yeah.
environment. You know what I mean? Or
Yes.
Killjoy's like 4 pages long. So I'm not saying that these are rules that can't be broken, or I don't break these rules, but rather, instead of there being a secondary system of complexities to create vehicles, what I wasn't trying to do was make a universal vehicle system. What I was trying to
Yeah.
do was make a racing and dead rig combat simulator for this setting. And I had just published in my Heartbreakers, my free Daggerheart
Yes.
collection.
Hmm.
I had published a thing that was kind of condensing Matt Colville's strongholds and followers into a
Oh,
few
yes.
pages
Hmm.
for it was just like keeps, and the keep die was a third D20 or a third die that could grow into a D12. Sorry, not a D20, to a D12. And when you're at your home base, you roll all three, and that represents home field advantages and secrets and the people that are around you. It's not just your own. You have this fortune. And I said, I love scaling dice. I love dice sizes that grow
It's
and
actually
drop.
one
It's
of
one
the
of my
mechanics
favorite
I
game
enjoy
mechanics.
most when you explore these
It's
growing, lowering
become
dice
my
types.
signature. Yeah.
Yeah.
Much to the chagrin of some of my indie designer friends,
Oh, really?
because it's old tech. Oh yeah, but to each their own. I enjoy it,
Yes.
but the idea was that okay, well then, your rig is a dice. It's a
Mhm.
dice size. It's if you have a small one or an unimproved one, you get this. You get a D4, a D6. I think is the biggest starting rig dice size you can have, and then and uh, and then while you're on the bike, anytime you're on your bike, you roll that extra dice. So even if you're not racing, if you were to steal a bunch of dead rigs from the city of nowhere, do a big car heist, gone in 60 seconds, right? And drive off into the world, your characters would get to keep those bikes and all their checks on the bikes, because they're big, they're dangerous, they're fast, they're not completely unbreakable, but they're very resilient to injury. You could always scale down the dice, do a dice scaling thing if you needed
Mhm.
to keep them long term, in terms of like keeping, their if tracking that kind of thing. But really, I wanted it to be simple. I wanted it to be easy. I wanted it to be, and I also to contrast like your racing game, which I think is really brilliant. I
Oh,
was telling him before
thank
stream,
you.
I really really love it. One of the things I love about Daggerheart is that we saw a thing we wanted to do, a similar theme, and we ended up going about it in different ways because it's a system that has tools. And what I wanted was not a countdown, because I didn't want the race to feel like something that you can count on winning. It's a death race. Every checkpoint has a hazard. Narratively, every turn could kill a player. Now, that's not going to happen because of the way the system works, right? And they're heroes and the main characters, yada, 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 but plot armor. But, it's not a safe race. It's not NASCAR. Not that that's safe, but you get my meaning.
Probably safer
So I
than
made
what
the
you
checks.
create.
Yes, safer than what I made. I made the checks really high, and the checkpoint roll table actually operates from the baseline of the normal one being failure with hope. So as you're racing around the track, we zoom out when it's between checkpoints, and players get to describe how they're weaving through traffic. A cool thing they do. Maybe they can do a stunt from the bingo card if it makes sense. And then when they get to the checkpoints, they have to choose whether they want to continue to rip ass and haul down the road, or if they want to choose to fail with hope and instead take another action. Because like a real race, it's not a cumulative progress. It all comes down to the finish line. It's who gets
Yes,
past the finish line first.
that's the most fun.
And this is less of a game of tracking minis on a map. You could do that. You could definitely, like, especially if they get hazards. I could see some fun in, like, oh, you have to get to this checkpoint before you get to this checkpoint. Be a little bit more granular with it. But the idea is that it's very narrative. They're moving back and forth, and the checkpoint checks help determine the narrative flow of the race, how well they're doing in the race, setting them up, giving them disadvantages. and then forcing them to link their dead rigs to increase their dice size, forcing them to spend gold they earn to increase the dice if they want to do tournament style. I wanted progression in there. I wanted there to be um, some modularness. I wanted people to. I didn't want to overpack it. I wanted, I wanted people to go, oh, what if I had, hey GM, what if I had a boost that did this? Could I buy that? I wanted creativity to kind of come out of it. And I think it's really elegant. I'm a big fan of it. We've run it a
Yes.
few times. The secret sauce though is if you've only downloaded the main game and you haven't downloaded the bingo cards, those are mobile friendly bingo cards. They're the size of a smartphone. Your players can either all work on one sponsorship. The idea is that like the people that host the race, the winning is keeping your life. The motor cult, there it's all for glory. It's all for glory and for life. But the merchants, they want a more exciting fair. They want to be able to run gambling institutions, and they want to be able to market things. So you pick a sponsor, either individually, each player can pick a sponsor, or everyone can work the same sponsor card, depending on however you want to do that. They screenshot it, right? And then they use their screenshot app. They can mark off the bingos as they go through.
That
And
is
then it
really
has
cool.
a very stripped down version of the rules of how
Mhm.
to race at the bottom. So it's a player aid. And I think this is the sauce because it's super fun to like go through and do the death race, and we're fighting and we're doing
Mhm.
these other things. But then you're like, oh, but you could also win some gold, and you could also and there you can go buy magic items up in the garden. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So there's some incentive there. And I'm just super happy with how it turned out. Um, I think it goes without saying I wouldn't put it out if I didn't think if it added value. It won't be for everybody. The whole adventure won't be for everybody. It's doing its own thing, but there's lots of great stuff out there, so it doesn't have to be for everybody.
I must say,
But
thank you
it is
so much
good.
for breaking the mold of like, I mean, you mentioned it earlier that Daggerheart is not solely like high fantasy game, and you make it not high fantasy. You show the versatility of the system, and I think
Thank you.
this is another beautiful example of like, what else can it be? It can be this gritty Mad Max style race.
It's
It's
an
beautiful.
inclusive game and not an
Yes.
exclusive game.
Oh
Its
yeah.
rule set wants you to mold it. They made it. I mean, I'm not, I'm a freelance boy, so everything I say is my own personal opinion, but it is of my opinion that they wanted very much to take the community of people who are playing these types of games and give them tools to actually play to the play styles they were actually playing. They want without being like, here's a bunch of books. I know that everybody really wants a bunch of new Daggerheart content because it is awesome, and we want more Daggerheart content. But I can't overstate how awesome it is that they sold you the entire game in one book in less than 200 pages, or less than 300
Mhm.
pages. Everything you need to run the game. In there's just like it's a really efficiently built game, which is
Mhm.
maybe my main reason I'm so drawn to it. But yeah, so the bingo cards, if you do end up playing it, be sure you do this because I think this adds the texture. Uh, that way, players have choices they have to make.
Mhm.
And really, at the end of the race, the thing that defines it is that last minute, it's one big group roll against you and whatever rivals are left.
Mhm.
And you could win these races just by slaughtering everybody. You know what I mean? Like you could really
Yes.
lean into it. If there's no one to race, you have won the race. So I wanted to incentivize people to not just I. The problem with any dice based game is that if you don't add enough choice, it's just rolling against probabilities. So how do I balance making sure people feel like they have adequate choices to make during the mini game versus it just being we rolled a bunch of dice 6 times, we did it for 15 minutes, or we did it for 45 minutes and it could have been done in this mini game should have been an email is something I never want to hear when I'm designing stuff. So I think for me,
Mhm.
it works really well. I'm very happy with it.
I agree. I love this. This adds the cherry on top of a already great pie. I love that. And also, I wanted to talk about like all of the additions that you added to Road to Nowhere because it is a whole package of different things, right? You added the different NPCs, which are great. Maybe I can let me see if I can find some NPCs still. Right, you added also these macro environments for these three big clusters of the rigs that are basically part of the city, which are great.
Yeah,
And
these like mega structures that race
these
around
mega
each other.
structures, yes. Right. Before I forget, my favorite piece of world building here is that there's asphalt in this world, but it is basically the excrement of the dead worm. I just
Yeah, it's
love that.
like the ooze that it makes, like that it is covered in asphalt, but asphalt's just a mixture of stone and different elements, right? It's not
Yeah, true. That's true.
I mean, it's magic bullshit. So obviously, I'm just saying it's there. But you know, if a dragon can produce flame
Hmm.
out of its mouth, there's no reason a big worm can't excrete asphalt.
Yeah,
Yeah,
true that. True that.
I'll stand by that.
In the same vein, do you have a favorite piece of world building, or besides the bingo cards? Because I think I've heard that this might be one of your favorite thing of this stuff. But what are your favorite piece of world building and design, maybe?
Ooh, I like. There's a couple of little things uh, in here. I like. Well, we're looking at the stat blocks. Maybe we just go through the pages. I could tell you that might be the easier. But so if we're looking at the NPCs,
Hmm.
NPCs haven't really been defined yet. Like there's not a standard way an NPC is done.
Yes.
I kind of hope they never create a standard way to do an NPC. I think that an NPC can function as a adversary very well.
Hmm.
Carlos was showing me, or in Pistol Heart Volume 3, there's a City Slicker character who is friendly, but
Yes.
he sucks. So every action he takes is adverse to the party. He's still an adversary, even though he's part of the crew. I think that's really brilliant. So with
That's why
the,
your
I
dead guy is coming in.
yeah, I gave them a friend and a foe
Hmm.
kind of dialogue. You could make enemies with these people too, but if you make friends with these people, they have
Hmm.
benefits. My favorite is probably Dead Guys though, because Dead Guy is an experiment of Dr. Killjoy's, and in my head, he's a cabbie. Like he
Oh,
drives
yeah.
the little skiffs that go between the
Hmm.
barges to like for his bread and butter. But he has one hit point, one stress, and if he dies, he just pops back into the city. He's kind of ambush buggy, Deadpool. He's a meta weirdo. He's broken, and as a result, he doesn't exist in the fiction correctly. But eventually, if you help him enough, he creates a resistance cell, which is one line of dialogue. But I could imagine somebody going, "Oh, I'm gonna make a whole campaign about that," and then they get to
Definitely.
build all the other stuff out to create this resistance cell and fill it with characters. And if I was when I'm running games, that's what I want from this kind of stuff. Um, I don't like a lot of prescriptive detail. I like some descriptive details that inform choices. The same way I like a random roll table. A random roll table. I'm not rolling randomly on it maybe every time, but I like a little bit of help to get my creativity kind of running down the street when I'm running games. So
I'm
that's maybe my favorite piece of one of my favorite pieces of lore is that that guy will start a resistance if you help him enough.
I'm totally with you on there. I'm also my GM style is also give me just some prompts or ideas that I can play off of and then improvise the rest together with my players. So I'm very
Sure.
happy for that. Oh, also, one of my favorite pieces of your Heartbreaker collection, your for free collection for like Daggerheart editions, right? That is out there, is the hex crawl design that you brought out, I think, earlier this year, where it's also just like, hey,
Yeah,
you can
yeah.
have a hex crawl, and these are just the options of hexes that can happen. And I already ran this twice, and it's so much fun.
Oh, really? That's
Yes.
great.
Hmm.
Oh, I think I remember you saying that. Yeah, I really love it. It has been rendered null and void, obviously because they've put out their official hex crawl, which is very cool.
But I mean,
Um,
they can both exist at the same time.
But
I
they're
don't
very
see.
different.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
That's my main thing.
Hmm.
The hex crawl Journey of the Horizon is it is a campaign that is meant to emulate the the parts of Lord of the Rings where they're walking all the time. You know,
Yeah.
it's a game, it's a journey game. And really what Darkheart is a mega dungeon. It's a roguelite procedural mega dungeon disguised as it's a depth crawl
Hmm.
disguised as a hex crawl because the forest resets itself when you leave. You
Hmm.
can just kind of go back to the beginning if you want to. So yes, they are very different.
Yeah.
But I did kind of make that because I heard the announcement. I was like, well, I better if I have any ideas about how to make a hex crawl for Daggerheart, I better do it
Hmm.
now before there's something more concrete because if I do it afterwards, people will push back more. The average person will push back more on the idea of it because it will be seen as iterative as opposed to being like an original thought. So,
But I think the beauty of your hex crawl is that this one works really well for the use cases where I needed it, where I had just like a very mini adventure, like 2 or 3 adventures with a couple of friends, where I didn't want to do much prep. And I just took this and I put them in the forest and like do whatever you like, explore the forest, save some people that got lost or whatever, and then you can come back. And this is such a beautiful little self-contained thing.
In there.
Exactly, throw in Baba Yaga's hut.
Yeah, you got a stew. Yeah, thank you. I'm that one's, I'm really proud of that. I was almost enough work for me to charge for it, but then I decided to put it in the. It's one of those things. It's like, do I want the $2 or do I really want people to play with it? And sometimes I just choose I want people to play with it because that's more fun for me to think about.
Understandable. Yeah. Anyways, let's go back to Road to Nowhere. So
sure.
Wait, we also, because I wanted to showcase a few more things, because later on you also have let's see if I can find the right page. Right, you have a big ass stat block which goes over, I think, 2 or 3 pages for the roadworm itself, and I love this artwork here.
Thank you. This was the second piece I did for it, and it kind of made everything cohesive. I was like, I'm just going to be real messy. It's going to be real fun. But yeah, they're using it like a ramp. In my head, they're about to, they're charging towards an Umbra beast. They're about and these guys, they're dying. You know what I mean? Like they're not all epic warriors. These guys that are ramping off, they're just there these guys are bards. You know, they're bleeping off and they're just crashing and they're dying as it's happening. It's a fun piece.
Amazing.
But yeah, with this piece, I had permission to kind of do whatever I wanted in terms of like the Daggerheart lexicon of things. Since it was non-canon, they were okay with me making a Colossus for this creature. And at the end of the day, the Colossus are really cool and I really like them, but I didn't want to. I felt like I was doing enough weirdness with this module. I didn't really want to have to like explain to people that. I thought I'll do that later. I'll do
A, there's a segment B, there's a segment C. I can see that how this could be weird, maybe.
And it eats up space. This creature would have been 4 pages.
And also,
but what I did want to do is
fighting this thing per se, right?
You don't have to.
You can.
But you can. You might. Most of the people I ran D&D for over those years, I was a professional GM, probably would just try to fight it immediately. But what I did want to do was create a big creature that granted you a downtime move, and then I wanted to give it an interior environment, so that it had like once you're inside of it, it has its own environment, and that I'm really happy with how it turned out, especially since it's not really supposed to be. I wanted you to be able to fight it if it happens. I imagine a lot of people will not like what they think that Sinestro. What they decide Sinestro and Ramrodicus are doing, it's heavily implied that they grab people off the street, hitchers. They call everyone who's not part of the cult hitchers, and they throw them into the processing. You know, if you put, they need, and there's even an implication that maybe they're stealing people's blood for various reasons. These are all open enough for your table to figure out why all these things are happening. But yeah, if things go bad with the cult, you will probably have to face the worm at least for a moment.
You know, I don't know if you've seen this. There's also I mean, you might have heard about Etin Entertainment, also a creator who is bringing out
big fan of theirs. Yeah,
great. In one of their latest, Bugs and Brambles. Etins, if you're in chat, please remind me. I think it was called Bugs and Brambles. It was a supplement all about like bugs, and in one of them they also had a tier 4. I think it was a purple worm, which was once you got swallowed, you're also inside of its digestive tract, and this was also very fun. It's a little bit, both of you have different spins on it, but I love this. I love this element.
Carlos put a big sandworm in Pistol Heart Volume 3 as well. So we got sandworms out, and then they added a worm to Hope and Fear. So we went from having none of these creatures to having a lot of them. So you got your whole, you could have them all in the same place. And, it'd be Be a lot of cognitive
Give me
load.
all of the sand points. I personally, if I would be a player, I would never hurt any one of these beautiful creatures. Also, my queen, the woodworm. If I play this with players who attack this, I will kill them.
Yeah. She's doing a service. She's keeping
exactly.
the baddies
She's eating Umbra Touch creatures, keeping everyone safe. Yeah. She's even like acting like a sacred pyre. You don't even need a sacred pyre. The Umbra Touch creatures stay clear of this.
There's like, no, thank you.
Why would you hurt it?
We're not going to do it. So they've evolved so far. The Umbra. My thought is like, what if this isn't the end of this reality? The gods have left, but what we have now are the new rules of nature here, and eventually the creatures would evolve beyond the Umbra itself, and it may not. This future may not include humanoids. You know, they might all die out. The Enduring may not last through here, but the idea that like even in a desolate, broken environment, life finds a way. You know, to go to Jurassic Park.
The Jamie Raven is very, very happy about this, probably right now that you said that.
Yes, the road worm. It's going to be a little freaky guy.
Nice. Sorry if I killed your train of thought there.
No. I was just doing my bad Jeff Goldblum impression. But yeah, so I'm happy with that. And then all the other adversaries, I wanted to make sure that there were. If I'm introducing things on, if you get to have wheels and you get to ride the wheels around, I wanted to make sure that basically everything that I put in the book supported that gameplay versus just being like things that I would like. I had a bunch of like weird monsters that were like very like Age of Umbra that I was going to put in here, kind of folklore-y and like really fucked up. But then I was like, well, no, I have to. The support is that people are going to want to use their toys. Vroom, vroom, vroom. Also, this isn't anywhere in the book because I have a place to put it. But all of the Umbra vehicle, all the death rigs, the swords that the highwaymen carry, they pull out, and they're the handlebars. One of the handlebars that they put into the rig.
Oh yes,
to get it going. It's they're keys. Their swords are keys.
Amazing.
There was no room to put that in there. But
thank you.
Yeah. So the highwaymen.
This is important.
Well, yeah. So now you got to. I don't know the logistics legally of me continuing to make support for this. I don't know if Darrington would like to have to constantly update a file, but they were gracious enough to let me host it on my itch. So I might either on that page or on my Heartbreakers. Who knows? I might put like a more expansive vehicle checklist or rules or things. As long as they're okay with that, it's their stuff. Mm-hmm. Obviously, I can't just do whatever I want. I would have to communicate with them. But yeah, with the highwaymen, I wanted
Darrington Press so you can talk this through. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. I wanted to make a template for the highwaymen. I wanted some nice roll tables.
I also want to point out here that this is not just one adversary stat block. This is 7 in it. Like there's one standard highwayman, but then you have made the beautiful passive Hell on Wheels where you gave them 6 different versions of this. So it's basically 6 different versions of this stat block. And you also added these beautiful rolling tables just to have immediately names and some vibes, which I enjoy that. And I think I want to steal this for my adversaries as well. If you're okay with that.
Yeah, please do.
This is so cool.
No, please do. There's not a thing I make that I would not be happy to see someone playing with the toys and making their own stuff with it. So it's we are all here together. Like Matt Colville says, "I am a river unto my people." I will always try to emulate that, you know. But yeah, the idea was that like you need a stat block. Even more interesting, these are highwaymen that you would encounter out in the wild fighting, or if you got in a conflict like in the city. When you're racing, there's even a more condensed version of that in the Death Race stat block. You actually don't run them as pure adversaries in there. The way I have it structured in the race, a hazard might just be that one of the rivals attacks. So it's a little bit different than the normal. It is a mini game. It does function a little bit differently. But just in case you needed to knock around some regular ass highwaymen, that's
there they are.
There they are. Yeah.
And the bullet spitter image is also very fun. I must say, it looks like a tardigrade inspired image, and I'm all about.
Yeah, it's a little water bear. Yes. Yeah. once again, I was like trying to emulate, well, not emulate. I was trying to incorporate those ideas I had about like the bed of the Shadowlands being this microbiome that became massive, a massive
Oh yeah.
biome, a macrobiome. And so this is some sort of weird evolution of a creature that continue to get warped, but it eats rigs
Yeah.
as they get thrown down. And then you can't really see it, but its arms are corpses that are in
Oh,
these
we really?
like
Oh.
chains. So it's made from it. It is
Oh
it's
shit,
a
yes it is.
byproduct of being part of the machine that Sinestro uses, in that they have figured out a natural evolutionary technique to fuse flesh and chrome and slag and to make more of them. And basically, I just wanted something long range that you'd have to drive up to get
Yeah.
to. And I really like the word bullet spitter, and I just had to justify
Yes.
how to make, because there is a gun in Shadowlands that Alphonse has, Zach the Bold's character,
Hmm.
but it's got, I think that's got like almost like a proton pack. Like it's a big,
Hmm.
it's like an Eldritch cannon thing. It's not like
Yeah,
pew
I
pew
think
pew pew
he's feeding
pew.
his blood into this, right? To shoot with.
Yeah, he's feeding
Yeah.
his blood into it. Yeah, yeah, exactly. It's a blood hunter thing. Um, so I didn't want to imply that they were like guns in the setting. Also, to a lot of people's this like point, this would work. All this stuff would work really well in Colossus of the Drylands if you wanted to reskin it or change it. But I was trying to make sure we didn't. Um, I felt like having guns proper was too much. But this thing is just eating metal and
Hmm.
spitting it at you.
Yep.
It's not a gun proper. Although maybe you could ride one and have it
Yes.
shoot at people. Yeah, I don't know.
I love this. And the speed demon is also super cool.
Speed Demon is probably the most like lore wise. I have these nice. I took the liberty of getting bigger lore blocks because the way I like to write, I don't like to do a bunch of exploratory stuff in between. So this is where you're getting all the world building is from these little blurbs.
Hmm.
But this was maybe the most like of the Halcyon domain. I really love settings. I've run a couple of settings of my own where the gods they disappeared, they left, maybe they were killed. And then what happens to all of the seraphim, all of the little dudes that hang out, that the
Oh,
demons and the
definitely.
angels, they, in some settings, I had them just become regular people. You know, it's like they have no one else to influence them. But I love the idea that the Umbra was trying to consume all that was left of the old gods, and so you had like your Hermes, you had your messenger of the gods, you have these speedsters that literally the only reason he's still alive is he can outrun the Umbra, and as a result, all of its physical form is gone. It's and as it runs, bits of it are continuing to crack off until it's this um, like the Speed Force incarnate from like the Flash, you know, just
Hmm.
and I love the idea. And then I Death by a Million Cuts is maybe the meanest thing I've ever made in terms of
It is
of
mean, but I love
it's
being
pretty
mean.
mean.
So yes.
Yeah, but my thought is that these guys are less interested in fighting per se, and more interested in like if I was going to introduce one, it probably would be like stealing a MacGuffin, right?
Oh
There's
yeah.
something
Hmm.
that's powerful that the party has. It's related to the age of before the age of Umbra, to the old Halcyon domain, and maybe they're going to save the world with it. And this thing's like, oh, I need that because it's going to keep me alive. And
Hmm.
so, yeah, it comes in and grabs it, which is why I gave it a runaway feature.
Yeah.
I gave it
Literally.
a get the hell out feature. But yeah, that one I'm really proud of. I actually just really, of all the art I did, I think that's my favorite piece in the thing. I was playing with some techniques I don't normally use, blurring out, using some radial blurs and some things that were fun experimentations that worked out well. But
I think
yeah, I like the guy.
next up would be the adversary with the most fun name in my at least in my opinion. Yes, exactly, the skeleton crew. Just like a literal skeleton crew, and I love you for that
Skeleton
you did
crew, yeah.
this.
Yeah, that's you either like the way I name things or you hate it. That's fair. I tell you what, I don't like. I'm not a big fan of like fantasy names because I forget them. So a lot of the things I write, they're either like two words smashed together,
Mhm,
or um, they're just like you can name them in your
mhm.
version of the world. Your locals can call these guys whatever you want. You know, for the language, but skeleton crew. Yeah, and also I know that there are examples of this, but I just wanted a tier 4 minion. I wanted something that was that these guys are dangerous enough that if you saw them at tier. Also, I personally don't use tiers as a way to, and this is just a personal preference, to build encounters, because I come from like the indie OSR scene. I don't necessarily think the world should be balanced, and I think Daggerheart is really equipped to handle an unbalanced world, since you
Oh yeah.
basically have a very large, you're very much in control of when you die in the game. So it's a deadly encounter. Still, it's just more interesting fiction. So I made these guys as powerful as a tier 4, but I would definitely drop them on my players as soon as they got dead rigs,
Yeah.
because maybe you need to run from them. Maybe you need to be chased off. Drive them back to the city. They hate the city. They want to consume it. They're Umbra. These are just Umbra creatures. Their souls are still clinging to their bodies. They're hateful. All the things they loved in life now they hate. So they're just trying to find the city and destroy it. So you would lure them back to the city if you need to, or whatever. But yeah, and then I also just wanted a bunch of skeletons driving a dead rig. It's not, some of this stuff isn't that deep. Most of it's not that deep.
Doesn't matter. It doesn't need to be deep to be flavorful and amazing and inspiring.
To be fun, yeah.
But I agree to what you've been saying about like different tiered adversaries and such, and that Daggerheart can actually handle unbalanced combat.
It needs to be intentional. It needs to be intentional.
Yes. No. I mean, I rarely on my table. I rarely take. So like when I know that my players are tier 2, I take tier 1s, tier 3s, tier 4s, adversaries, environments,
Yeah.
and immediately on the table do then the balancing to
Sure. And like
fit
on
it into
like
the
Heart
scene,
of
right?
Daggers,
Yeah.
you can just click.
Oh yeah.
And then yeah, I do that. I'll do that to balance, just to make sure I'm not, if I don't want the
Oh, that
scene
is
to
fun.
be
You're
about.
also using Heart of Daggers for running your games?
Yeah, it's a really great.
Oh,
It's a really. I have that. I have the Demi-plane stuff. The
mhm.
Demi-plane stuff's okay. I've just never been a big fan of Demi-plane.
I
It's
agree.
just it's not terrible, but it's not the best.
So yeah, if people out there have not heard about Heart of Daggers, it's just, in my opinion, and perhaps I don't know, Jack, you can tell me if you agree or not. The best place to run Daggerheart online, and also it is a marketplace completely free of AI
Yeah,
products.
yeah, free. It's very cool.
And I just love Heart of Daggers.
And they're
So
real sweeties.
oh yeah,
Matt and the crew are. They have a really nice community going over there.
I agree.
Yeah. But yeah, in terms of like balancing,
Mhm.
I'll rebalance if I want to make sure that the scene isn't about it being dire. Sure, but
Mhm.
every once in a while, some shit should be kind of dire, especially if,
Yep.
for this kind of campaign where there's a lot of open land. It would be, you hear someone rumbling down the road,
Mhm.
doing the Daggerheart thing of kind of foreshadowing before it happens,
Yes.
and maybe you're expecting a empty chassis and her posse to show up to help you grab the loot that you secured from the place, and then it's a skeleton crew instead, and now you've got this unopenable chest, and you've got to
Mhm.
figure out how to, there's good fiction and friction there.
Definitely. And I mean, we can see it, for example, in How's My Driving, which is more on the horror side, where unbalanced things are the norm, where
Yeah.
the stakes are increasing with game time, where you have to where we have to beat higher and higher
Mhm.
difficulties. It's fun. It just brings tension. It's great.
That's the idea with BCA too, is the doomsday clock.
Yes,
All
indeed.
the rolls go against the doomsday clock. You don't have to worry about the cognitive load of figuring out. It's all tied to the tension of the story,
Mhm.
and not to the individual environments and the people.
I think we should come more to the towards the end now of like us going through Road of Nowhere. I have a shit ton of questions, but I just wanted to still wanted to mention all of the amazing tools that you have given us in Road to Nowhere. And I think there is another talk that we could have, maybe not just with you, but maybe with other folks of the Daggerheart creator scene, of like, what do you think a Daggerheart adventure frame should look like? But I would put this now onto the future topic, future things for us.
Well, yeah. And I really want people. If there's one thing you can take away, is that it's not official. This is not something that you should have build towards. My favorite comment I've gotten so far on this is that someone felt empowered to play.
Oh,
I
great.
I want rules to increase. Rules, in my opinion, are there to facilitate and increase fun, not limit or inhibit it. So if this is not how you
Well
would
said.
think the thing should be structured, I'm not. I'm just a guy who makes games. So, but this
Thank
works for
you.
me.
Thank you
This is what I
for the
want.
clarification. I mean, people have been
Yeah.
looking at that and like, oh, this is the first official campaign frame. Sorry, adventure frame. This must be the way that
Mhm.
Darrington Press believes in this. But thank you for clarifying that this is
I mean,
probably mainly your
at
opinion.
least, yeah, at least in the sense that they let me do it, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
True. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
no, this was, and yeah, this is just uh, just it just made sense for me to call it that. And I've seen
Yeah.
other people use it, and I've seen it in other contexts. I also think it's applicable there, even though
Mhm.
that might be different than what I made. That's the nice thing about unofficial terms is
Yeah.
we can use them any way we want to.
Also, I mean, coming back to like you saying that people should do or should make with Adventure Frame whatever they believe they should do and innovate on it. And I mean, this is also the cool thing that I see now in the Daggerheart third-party creator scene, where so many people are innovating and trying out different things. And I mean, you are also on the forefront with this, and it's so beautiful to see how the game is developing. And you mentioned it earlier that it is like just take whatever mechanics you want from Daggerheart, bring it to your table, and then you add your own shit onto it, and then you
Mhm.
play it, and it's just so beautiful in that regard.
They want you to do that,
Yes.
and I want to make sure that while we're all settling into, if I have a role that I put on myself in my limited capacity as a person who's created games for a while outside of the system and is bringing my own ethos into it, I want to make sure everyone feels the openness and the freedom to play and experiment. That is the joy of being a third party, not having someone else's logo on your stuff means you get to make it exactly the way you want
True.
it.
Yes.
In this case, where I got to put the logo on the stuff and I got to make it exactly where I want it, because they were super cool. But that's not normally the case, you know.
Yes. True. So yeah, we already went 1.5 hours, and I said before that this would be for me the max thing. But I have so many questions, and I enjoy this so much. Jack, how are you doing? Do you have still a couple of a bit of time in you?
I got a whole my calendar is clear. I'm a you do whatever. Let's chat. I don't want to hold you up,
No
but
worries. I
I'm
enjoy
here, man.
this
I'm
immensely.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Jamie Raven is in chat. Jamie Raven, what do you think? How much longer can we go? Half an hour? I have to. I mean, I'm just one part of Barton Raven. I have to ask the other
Sure, sure.
the other
Yeah,
half.
that's the
All right, Jamie
and
Raven says,
we
sure,
will
let's do this.
okay. We don't want to upset our partners because we praise them for being so integral to the process, and then if
Yes,
we disregard them, we are
exactly,
shit bags. So,
exactly.
yeah,
All right,
yeah.
I have questions. I already got the first batch of questions, and I know that there's
Okay,
probably other some more questions
let's
even.
do it.
But let's see how
Let's
far
do
we
it,
can
man.
go.
And I'll keep myself from rambling. We'll work
Oh, like
together
please go on rambling.
to get well, so we can get them all in. And
Yes.
man, I love to talk. So,
And I love to listen.
uh,
Amazing. The first question from Adventure Lies Ahead, also a very active person on the Heart of Daggers Discord and the Daggerheart community. How much of your graphics is your own work? I mean, you already talked about this a bit. And how much is something else you find, and where do you find it?
ooh, yeah. In this book, this is the most of like my own pure like illustrations that I've ever done. But even this is a lot of it's composites. So like um, the road here is built off of two rectangle pieces that are sitting off screen to create the road, and this skyline is a bit of clip art that I found in Canva. So I do. In terms of being professional, I'm the most unprofessional professional I think out there. I use Affinity and Canva. I use Affinity mostly to when I need to create things that you can't make in Canva, word marks or taking out backgrounds off of things. Like yeah, when you need those like fine tools. But my workflow is optimized into Canva. So now Canva does have a bunch of stuff that you have to be careful everywhere with all stock art. It doesn't matter where you're getting it from. You have to make sure you're not accidentally using AI shit. I last week I was getting the print copy done. How's my driving is going to print, and I was going through and I had to I had rasterized an image so it was too small. So when it was big, it was blurry. So I went back to Adobe where I remembered I downloaded it from, and when I downloaded it from Adobe, it did not have the generated AI watermark. It seems like they're going through their catalog and finding pieces and that people submit and then doing it retroactively. So that's my big caveat. And Canva's no worse. Canva draws all of their assets from a bunch of different repositories. So you really do have to still pay attention. But a lot of the stuff I make, I use, I'm using a lot of the stock assets in Canva. Have Canva Pro. Or I'm going online and I'm finding things that fit the bill, and I'm either putting them into Procreate and I'm drawing over them, coloring them in, or I'm putting them through I have a program called Ditherboy, which is a dithering software that allows you to you can make things look like they're on a photocopier, or you can give them those halftone things. So fair use. I'm not like a lawyer, but I did do a lot of fair use studies in high school and in college. And after a certain point, if you manipulate an image enough where it's unrecognizable as the thing it was before, it gets into a place where you can use it legally. So photo bashing, super useful. It just kind of depends on what I need for the thing. And I like to do a lot of stuff in kind of more like a two-tone situation, which makes it really easy to take multiple styles of assets, flatten them, turn them into silhouettes, and then you can put those together. And then, so you can grab, if I need a crowd of people, I might grab those images off at Google, and then I make them into silhouettes, and then I put them together. And by the time that they're in a crowd together, jumping or whatever, it's a brand new image. You know what I mean? So that's
true.
That's my long answer.
Nice. All right. Next question is from a person called Losasaurus. We all know him as Carlos Cisco. If you could give Road to Nowhere the same, or if you could give the Road to Nowhere treatment for another frame, which one would it be?
I feel like this is a leading question, Carlos. Man, I would really love to do one for Drylands of the Colossus. Oh man, if only we could figure out a way to do that. No, I'm teasing. Well, luckily, I won't get into it. We haven't announced anything yet, but Carlos and I are friends. That's what I'll say. Actually, I was thinking of this morning. I have a solid pitch. They're not looking for this kind of stuff. This was a promotional item for this AP. This came from a budget to promote the AP. This is not Darrington's budget for making games. It's it's kind of a weird distinction, but it's worth pointing out that the person who was in charge of this decided to take that marketing budget and help a guy feed his family, and also give it back to the audience. They wanted it to be a free thing, very much in the spirit of the stuff that I make normally. If I could get my hands and do this again, I would love to take my Keep supplement and kind of beef it up for Five Banners Burning. I think Five Banners Burning is a really cool campaign frame. I love the political Game of Thrones style drama, but having a base you could build. I love base building. It's in BCA. I put it everywhere. If having a thing to invest your resources in and needing the way that Keep stuff is set up, I have it so it's like, oh, you have to upgrade. You need 6 chests of gold. You also need the help of a faction. You need a faction's blessing to blah blah blah. So you have to do a political thing and you have to pay for it. I would love to build a full ass stronghold Keeps thing, and then have lots of modular design. So instead of it being like a linear path like it is, be like, oh, and then when you get to the next level, you can select from these 5 things, and at the next level, you can select from these 5 things. So when your team's building the base, they could actually have more options, or maybe even take downtime to unmake one and make another one, and do a full like XCOM. I don't know if you played XCOM, but there's or Fallout Shelter.
Oh yeah.
In my head, there's
the
base building games.
This one I know.
Yeah, and it's just one of those things like to pull back and to make the gameplay loop have a more kind of a distinct thing. Carlos just messaged me, and I was like, "What's he saying?"
Carlos, do not distract my guest.
So that would be my short answer. All of them. The sauce here was that I got to take a design brief and manipulate it and make the thing that they had an inkling for into like its own thing. So if I had my way, I would get to do this for every one of them, and it would be equally as strange and equally as specific each time. So
That sounds cool. Actually, we do have another question from Carlos, which I'm also wondering. What lessons would you take from Road of Nowhere into your next adventure? I think probably asking, hey, what are we doing? Maybe because in our last spotlight where we had Carlos Cisco and where we were talking about Pistol Heart, he already teased that you guys are working on something.
okay,
So
good.
I can connect the dots.
I think we have. Yeah, he's watching, so I feel like I'm really dropping the ball if I'm sharing things that I'm not supposed to. I would say the biggest lesson is let's go ahead and let's. I'm looking at his chat again. Let's go ahead and say that it's going to be not 8 pages. That was an outrageous. I don't know why I was like, that'll be fine. That will do 100 things. If I could think of like maybe 2 more things I would probably add to Road to Nowhere, given infinite time and resources. Nothing that's like so concrete that it would break like you not. They're not even like fully formed thoughts. I don't have like systems that I pulled out of this. Rather, I could see where there might be a couple more interesting. Like I implied factions in this. There's the main faction, and I'm assuming that you're going to be taking factions from Age of Umbra, like the outside, and incorporating them into it. So maybe like some more faction work. And if I just had more pages, if this was like a 34-page document, that. But more isn't always better,
I think it's already
and
evocative enough as it is to induce like whole campaign play, not just one adventure.
I'm very happy with it. But in terms of also, now that I've worked with the Darrington folks, I would probably lean on their. I think I was really excited to like show my value, right? Like I can do a good job. You don't have to worry about this. But all the feedback I got from them, and not everyone's great at giving feedback. Sometimes feedback can be very like polarizing, or even if it's well intentioned. But the way at which I don't know if they were just being like trying to be extra careful about my feelings. Maybe it's just that, like, I look like a white man, so maybe they're just making sure that they don't accidentally. That's a joke. But I'd probably lean in more, honestly, and be like, okay, well, let's. I've got some. Like before I start putting things to pen, I'd probably be, hey, what do you think about this? Just because that developmental editing really showed me a lot about just a little tiny bits about. Oh, okay, I get the philosophy there now. Oh, okay, and that was maybe the most illuminating part. Yeah.
As a perfect follow-up question, though I'm not so sure if you can answer this, Jojo Game is wondering, as I'm doing as well, is there another project in the works with DP, Darrington Press?
There are some things that there's nothing I can say this. There's nothing concrete. But the hope is that we'll continue to be friends, and I'll continue to make stuff with them if they want me to. And they're so supportive. Like I have like right now, my brain is going to. I've got some stuff with old on the burner here. We keep pretending like Carlos and I aren't working on something together. But I mean, like right now, BCA I feel like is there's enough like support and love at Darrington Press just to be supportive of the things that. Same with Pistol Heart, in these third party like that. I'm really not trying to be diplomatic. What I'm trying to say is that I would love to continue to work with them as much as they'd like to have me, because that's very fun and it pays bills and they're really cool people. But also, I'm making games. I'll make a game regardless of of my relationship with anybody because I'm just compelled to do so. And I find that the CGL to be very generous in terms of like what you can and can't play with, and what you can publish. So for me, it's kind of fun that I don't know yet, and hopefully there's stuff that who knows. I don't.
Nice.
Who knows?
All right. I love that. I certainly hope that Darrington Press is supporting you until your old age and you really don't want to make games anymore. I certainly hope that
dead.
this is not happening.
Yeah, I'll be
yeah.
dead when that. No,
Anyways,
the support though that they've shown and like their like belief in this product and like what we've made, I think is an indicator that we have a very nice relationship. And honestly, that's all you can really ask for.
So
you know?
then there's the only thing that we as a community can do is let Darrington Press know on all social media platforms. Let them know that you guys love Road to Nowhere and love Dungeon Club, and also download this thing from the Edge of Umbra page. I think it is Daggerheart / Edge of Umbra or something.
Daggerheart.com/Umbra. It's right now. It's on the front page of Daggerheart.com. So you just got to go Daggerheart.com. Yes. So if you haven't downloaded it for yourself, download it. You know, I have it on my Itch page. It's not as important. Yeah, it's not as important that you download it on my page. Although it is nice because Itch has a library, so maybe you want it, and it just that was the main reason I wanted it there, just so people could have it in their library if they're in that ecosystem. But yeah, go download it and be vocal. If you play it, you know, post on social media that you really enjoyed. We did this last time; it was super fun. That kind of stuff.
Next question from the wonderful Hackshack Games, John of Hackshack Games. We had him also in one of our Spotlight interviews. He is asking, is the Panic table maybe going to run Road to Nowhere sometime? I also want to see this, for the record.
Cameron is a whirlwind, and he always has like five things going, 5 plates spinning. We have bounced around doing a BCA. The Road to Nowhere thing is a little trickier because if it just depends on what level of support we could get. So who knows? I think that it's not out of the wheelhouse of things because we have you can run an AP of whatever you want. No one's going to shut you down for this, that, or the other. But we'll have to see. I would love that. That would be very cool. It's very fun.
Yes.
So
I could totally see Cameron and all the amazing cast members. I think I saw earlier that Gina was in chat as well.
Gina's in the chat too. Yeah, Gina's the homie and the other big brain at Panic Table.
That would be awesome. Run a race, just like a single race that is so action packed with so many shit going on, similar with House My Driving 2, where like shit was just gonna get worse and worse by the minute. This would be very fun.
I think it would make a very good actual play in terms of like what's happening in the future. We honestly don't know because we're all still like, you know, we've got 8 projects we're working on and we're moving through, and we got to plan for packs and yada yada yada. It's always
of course.
And we make a lot of decisions and then we decide and then we do it the next day too. So it's always hard to tell.
All right. The next question comes from, I hope I pronounced this name right, DJ Lazy. And they are apparently very sure that you know what this means. Do you prefer Beef Boys or Agab?
I'm always going to prefer my Beef Boys. Beef Boys are the real ones. That's one of my home. That's a Dungeon Club guy. Nice. Nice. And Beef Boys is just a little thing we call ourselves. So now you have all been inducted into the Beef Boy Compendium. It's not a gendered thing. You're all Beef Boys now. Welcome to the beef. Yeah.
Same person has also a question. Fuck one, kill one, marry one. Dr. Killjoy, the Roadworm, a dead guy.
Well, you're gonna kill dead. I was saying you kill dead guy because it doesn't. There's no
repercussion for this.
Yeah. I think you marry the Roadworm. There's stability there.
Yes.
Yeah. I think you fuck Killjoy because he's based on a very sexy man, and then you kill dead guy because you can do it over and over and over again. I think it's pretty easy. pretty easy answer, honestly.
Very easy answer. Exactly. Yeah.
Ask better questions, Nick. Just kidding.
I saw we had many questions that that we already answered throughout the interview. So I think I only got the question from the Jamie Raven that we haven't answered yet. Right, the Jamie Raven. If you have more questions, please send them my way. Also, another question from Joy Games. When writing for a major up-and-coming IP, did you ever feel anxious about stepping on someone's toes or contradicting someone that had already been established compared to the freedom of writing something entirely your own?
100%. Yeah, that was the main fear. It was very clear that this was going to be non-canon. Like I had a freedom to be weird because it had the freedom to exist in its own alternate, because it's game stuff. Like I do love the canonization of things. It's nice to be like, these things are canon, these aren't. But also, at the end of the day, it's supplements for games. So if you don't like a thing from a game, it already encourages you to not use it. But this had the specific, interesting task of being a companion. This is a piece of companion media to a very popular actual play, the most popular actual play series, like Critical Role. So you have to consider what Daggerheart fans will like and dislike. You have to consider what Critical Role fans would like and dislike. I knew that I could do weird stuff and that I wouldn't, that, Matt Mercer wasn't going to wring my neck or anything. Also, it all had to go through their approval process. So, it wasn't like I got to just put it out without them going, oh, actually this is. But yeah, pretty terrifying. When I first started this project, there was about a week where I was like, oh, well, I don't know what to do with this. Beyond the briefs and stuff, we hadn't actually accepted it, and then we're thinking, and then we have the meeting where we actually collaborate. So in that in between space, I was like, well, this is a lot, because you want it to be interesting and you want it to say something, but you also want it to be accessible and you want it to be well received. And you, how do you write that line? And then at the end of the day, it's just like, well, I'll just make something that I'm proud of. And and also that they weren't going to let me fail, in the sense they weren't going to be like, oh, this is crap, we'll put this out. If this needed more iterations, I'm sure that the team at Darrington would have given me guidance, because they gave me lots of guidance in terms of like how to make some ideas convert better to like the philosophies of Daggerheart. But I did get a lot of freedom this time, so that was the other side of it, is that there was, because it's non-canon, it doesn't really matter if there's machines or this thing or that thing or how I interact with the world. But I did want to. The interesting thing was that they sent me the 6 episodes of the show to specifically show me what I couldn't use. Like they sent me all the character art. They sent me transcripts. I watched the whole thing, with like the transcripts. And I'm like taking notes. I'm like watching. I've never watched an actual play with that much. Like, stop.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? Okay. Because they wanted it to be a fresh location off screen somewhere else. And I wanted it to have enough, really the whole, like the idea that there's maybe a second mysterious appearing city in the Shadowlands is a fun idea, to be like, in your very beginning of your campaign, they could be going towards the place in the show and then end up accidentally on the road to nowhere. And then they could be at nowhere and like, well, this isn't the place. And then it could be an interesting. But yeah, the main job was like, don't incorporate that. Make sure you don't talk about that. Make sure this thing that happens in the last episode, no one knows about. And that was really interesting because once you start seeing the toys, it's kind of hard. I didn't know those things existed beforehand, but there's a chance that I accidentally parallel thought them without even knowing that. So it was important for me to do that. It was a very interesting process, to be like, okay, here's all this stuff. Can't use that. Don't do that. Or if it's going to be similar, let's make sure that it is an intentional obfuscation or like a parallel line to that, and not be like we're just retreading things that. So that was maybe the most nerve-wracking part of the actual like putting it together, was reviewing 12 hours of actual play in like pretty intense detail, so I don't accidentally double make something or misunderstand the assignment, as the kids would say. No one
Well,
says that.
speaking of actual play, let's do a little thought experiment. This is a question from me now. If there could be an actual play, an official actual play from Road to Nowhere from Darrington Press, or rather Critical Role with a Critical Role cast, would you want to run it or would you want to play it? And who would be your favorite cast if you could bring in anyone?
Oh, I would no, I wouldn't. I wouldn't want to run it. I'm an excellent GM. Let's not get that twisted. I'm very good at running games. I'm looking right at the camera when I say that. But I would want Cameron to run it. I put him. He's got that like kind of the verbosity, and we have such a linked workflow and kind of mindset now. I would really trust him to do a really good job with it. I'd also want Gina to be there. So I'd love the Panic table to be involved in some, even if they're just as members for the one thing. That would be ideal, because they're my friends and I love them, and they're excellent. And then I'll tell you this. At one point, I was going to do voice casting for all the NPCs. I was going to use.
Nice.
I like doing that in my games. I'll do a face cast or voice cast, so you can kind of, it's shorthand, right? If I say that this character is, is like Jeff Goldblum, you immediately can lock in and be like, yeah, I know. But the joke was going to be is I was going to put Matt Mercer as all of the NPCs, since he's that'd be funny if I'm like, it's Matt Mercer, it's Matt Mercer, it's Matt Mercer. No, I would. I think selfishly, I'd love to be a part of that for experientially. Like it would be fun to be in an actual play on Critical Role, but I think to serve the thing, you need people who are actually kind of versed in. Like I've run a handful of games online. That's not really my wheelhouse, But no, I made Cameron the villain in a perfect world. He gets to play that villain. I want to see him with the
roadworm
scar. Yeah. And pontificate those lines.
You mean this?
Yeah, exactly. That would be fun. So, and then otherwise, I mean, they have such a brilliant. I became friends with Vico.
Oh yeah.
At Gen Con, we played a game together at the Darrington headquarters off campus, and then we ended up, we being the Panic table and me and all of us that were there, we ended up hanging out the whole last night. Vico sat with us at the Ennies. So I would, so I'd say Vico because I like Vico, but they've already been in Age of Empires.
I agree.
So,
Vico is a great addition. I love Kagwama and
so
Salamence.
cool. Oh my God, they're one of the coolest people I've ever met. I was already a big fan. I was fangirling the whole first hour I was around them. Yeah, they have such talent. I feel like I would be sucking air out of the room. Even though I'm a very good GM, there's just people that are better suited for that specific lane of thing. So I kind of defer to everyone else's expertise if given the opportunity.
And I mean, a Panic table actual play for Darrington Press would not be something that they have not tried. I mean, they had this short run Thresher actual play, which was also very dark and very like Panic table-y, I would say. So it could fit there perfectly.
They didn't actually do any. They were involved. I can't remember. Cameron will have to correct me. They were involved somehow with How's My Driving 2. At least in a promotional sense. I can't remember. Yes. But they were all. So it's one of those things. There is a business element to all of this stuff. There's also like a friendship kind of community element to it too. And I feel like whatever we make, they'll at least support us making it. You know what I mean? Like they're not. We're playing in their space with their toys, so it's beneficial for everybody. Just for us to be, Also, they're just so nice.
Yes,
I met all of them. They're very cool. They are as cool as they seem. So it's
amazing. I've got 2 more questions, and then I think we will call it here. So, second to last question comes from our very own Jamie Raven in chat. the other half of Bart and Raven. How do you start your design process? Do you have like certain colors or maybe fonts or visuals? Do you have some notes? What's your process like? I think she wants to she wants to note down something that she can learn from you.
Sure. That's something actionable. I normally have like just a core concept, just a kernel of an idea. I think that's probably how most people start with things. And then I will almost exclusively jump to what I think the thing should be named. It's almost, and then I'll start developing a word mark or like a title image or a title screen, like a thumbnail, to help myself visualize the aesthetics of what I think the thing will look like, because I do use layout and the art and fonts. I use all of those things. Those are game mechanics. They are the intentionality of how I put things together is meant to help. It gives you a feeling the same way that reading a nice, a really well written blurb does.
Yes.
But it invokes different senses, right? Or I'll use layout as a shorthand. So, I love doing a diagram versus like writing out rules. Like I love flow charts and that kind of thing. So I'll start with a word mark, and then I'll normally make like a style Bible for the thing. Like I'll do like a 1 or 2 pages where I pick a couple colors and I start playing around. So I'll my word mark, and then I'll start going through and I'll just type out, like on the. Essentially, the way I'll write things is I imagine that I already have the game in my hand, or even more aptly, like it's an old video game box from like the 90s, right? Like I flip it over on the back. There's some screenshots. Now, those don't exist yet, but I'm projecting those in my brain. There's the aesthetic, there's the word mark, and then there's bullet points of what the thing will be. And then I'll write down the bullet points of what I want the thing to be, and then I'll start fleshing out those bullet points. I use like a whiteboard for all my writing. So like Milanote, or I've been using Canva a lot recently. And then I'll flesh out those sections, and then I'll figure out the order that they go in. And I'm already typing things in because I've already decided what the header fonts and the body fonts and subheaders and all that stuff, colors, and I'll type them in the format so that I can just take that text and then move it over to the actual page I'm working on. And then I'll start editing it down so that it fits into the space provided. I try not to overwrite already. I'm always working to less. Let's put it this way. If someone were to hire me by the word, I would not be able to afford most of my meals because my games are just not as like densely written as other people, because I rely so much on the visual stuff. But yeah, I that's maybe the big thing for me is I used to write almost directly into layout all the time, and now I have this like hybrid model where I am typing into what my final layout will be, but I'm not always typing directly on the page until maybe I get to the end, or if I'm filling in spots. But that's kind of what my workflow is like now. It used to be a lot more chaotic. I've kind of managed to figure out, and then like spot art and that kind of stuff. I figured that out kind of in the back end. Unless the page is going to have like a big like splash effect. If I'm doing something that spans 2 pages, then Cool. I think very visually. So
Yes.
it's all.
That sounds very.
It's all pictures in my head.
All right. Last question, and this one comes from Gallus, who is one of the heads of the Etin Entertainment.
Yeah. What up, homie?
What was the total development time for Road to Nowhere from start to finish? And I've got 2 questions, so let's do one at a time. This was 1 question.
Okay. Okay.
Sorry.
What was the production?
The question was, what was the total development time for Road to Nowhere?
It's skewed because it's skewed for a few reasons. Anytime you're dealing with a business that has so Darrington's a small print press of a much larger. They're an imprint of a much larger company, and there's chains of command. There's legal documents. I had to sign NDAs and stuff to just have conversations. Now, even if there weren't things going to be spoiled in those conversations, they just have to legally protect. So things move at the pace they move. And then my mom passed away, and that pushed us along the way. I think in terms of actual like me at the computer, I think I had blocked it out. It was about a month and a half of me touching the game, meaning like working on it at least a little bit, once a day, every day, for at least an hour. I have a small child, and he just started school, so I'm primary caregiver during the day. So I mostly hang out with my kid, do chores and stuff, and then I'd work at night. So I think it could have been less if he had been in school or whatever. And then it's funny how like deadlines, after I was trying to catch up, I did my morning process. I was grieving, and I was like, oh shit, I got to finish this thing so it gets done in time. And then like kind of creativity is a funny thing. I'm working on this thing kind of slowly for a month, and then I probably knocked out about 60% of the rest of it in like a week. So it's just kind of it just kind of depends. If I'm in my prime, if I'm cooking and I don't have a ton of, I also have other projects too. I'm working on stuff with MythWorks, so I have these other deadlines I have to meet along the way, and all of that stuff got screwed up by my mom passing away. So, but on my own devices, I can crank this shit out. So at the end of the day, I was like, okay, well, if we're gonna get this to print before Gen Con, and then Mixum had a printing snafu, yada yada yada. So it almost didn't get there at all, but. Yeah, I'd say like actual work time, probably like if I were to break it down, maybe like 3 weeks of like 3-hour shifts if I had to like median it out from start to finish. But then it was actually a few months more because we had communications back and forth, and so it's kind of hard to pin it down for this specific project, mostly because of the unfortunate tragedy. So.
Well, something really great came out of this.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And Mom would have been really proud. So that's
beautiful.
That's the good stuff. Yeah.
All right. Second question from Gallus, and now I hope finally the last one. Yes. Did you have any around the water cooler chats with the folks at Darrington Press? If so, is there a particular moment of camaraderie that struck with you?
Oh, yeah. The project itself, I had like an email chain at 80 emails back and forth between me and the person who hired me for this job. They're absolutely lovely. I consider them a friend now. So we were on a pretty much like a daily, we touch base, we chat back and forth. But I talked to Spencer and Rowan via video call, just in general to get a vibe check, and from a few other conversations about stuff that was happening, stuff that's all been announced now, but like the setting book and like that kind of stuff. Just because we were vibing. And they're just so lovely. And then when we went to Gen Con, we were at the Ennies. I had said hi to them beforehand. We had done the Darrington. There was like a little like Darrington Press like mixer for like content creators, and I got to have I had a cool ass chat with Jeremy Crawford. Talked to Jeremy Crawford for
Amazing.
He talked to me for like 20 minutes. Which was so cool because he's a big hero of mine. I also got to talk to Chris Perkins, not as much, but I did give Chris Perkins one of my how's my driving copies I had on myself.
Amazing.
But at the awards, we had already played a really awesome game of Daggerheart, and we had been vibing and hanging out. And at the awards, they were they were sweeping, they were winning, they were winning so many. It was them and Legend in the Mist were basically were but every time they won, they'd come over and they'd hug and we'd laugh, and they were so their joy was contagious, and their sense of like of being part of a larger community. I can't express to people enough that like if there wasn't a big company that they were having to run, they would just share with you all of the things that they have in their brains and in their hearts. They want to give you all of the stuff, and they would do it right now if they could. And the passion, Elise, the head of RPG production, Elise ran a game for us. It was one of the best games I've ever been in. Not just Daggerheart. It was one of the best. I've been playing games for 20 years. It was one of the best like experiences for one shot. I mean, one shots are hardly ever satisfying, especially with people you don't know. But there's just so much passion in those people's hearts for this game, and not in like a, not in a, like a, not implying anybody's like this anywhere, but you know, when you have a job, you have to talk good about the job. That's how jobs are. But
Yeah.
they're not faking it. And man, the way you can tell that it's burning holes in their pockets, so to speak, that they can't be like, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do this, and they're not telling me all this stuff either. You know, like they might, oh, we have like this little thing, and I'm like, oh, I want to know more about that. Can't tell you, but they're so passionate and so excited, and the fact that people want more stuff is a dream to them. So if I could give anybody a piece of advice, and this is not me doing PR for Darrington, just as a fan myself, we got to relax a little bit. They are like hustling, and we don't know all the things that they're doing because they have to keep those things close to their chest. But they want to wow you. They want to give you so many cool things, and they genuinely want to. They're not just doing it for, for the cloud or the paycheck or whatever. This is it's exactly as like kind of magical as you would hoped it would be. It was kind of my takeaway. Well, we didn't have like watercolor cooler, but I did get to be orbiting their ecosystem for a while, and it's really fun. Anytime you're around people who are passionate about the things they do, to watch them, and there's just like no cynicism. And I'm a cynical person, so it was refreshing, and interesting. So yeah, really cool stuff, and they're gonna. What little I do know is very cool, and we have a lot to look forward to as fans.
That's beautiful. Yeah.
But yeah,
I mean, the only way for me to interact with Darrington Press as a person who's living in Europe is watching the streams. But exactly what you said, I get the same feeling that they are so genuine. Their excitement about Daggerheart and the community is so genuine, and they want to bring
Rowan and
out more.
Spencer are just sweeties. They're
Oh
just
yeah.
straight up like sweet people. Yeah, there's no other way to slice that.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And also what you mentioned, that it's just so beautiful to see people talk about the things that they're passionate about. And I had the same experience today in our chat here. And isn't
Well,
this a
thank you
sad
for having
segue
me.
to end this? Oh, God.
Yeah, thank you for having me. No, that's really nice. I had a great time. Anytime people will let me yap at them about stuff I've made, but also I really love the work that you do. I think you're a wonderful a lot of people. I mean, the chat's filled with people I really respect and really care about your work. And what we're doing to build community, and not like kind of a flowery like, oh, we're building community, but like actually like doing stuff, talking with each other.
Yes.
It's nice to have. It can be very isolating making games because so much of it is in front of your computer and it is solitary work.
I agree. Yeah.
So it's always nice to be part of something bigger. But this has been really fun. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for coming. That's exactly what we want to achieve here in this creator spotlight, to like bring people on the screen, show that they're passionate about their work, and hear about all of the design intentions behind their work. And it's just such a rewarding thing for me. I feel like so refreshed, even though I was just listening to you yapping about all of this, and I did not interact much, but I had such a great time. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
And yes, I think I have nothing more to say. What is? I think. Wait, I have one more thing on my thing. One more question to you. What is next for Jack Panic? Can you tease something? Do you want to tease something?
Well, God, I feel like we've teased Carlos and I have
Yes.
teased enough right there. Something fun coming from the two of us. We'll have a more official announcement sooner. We have to make some stuff first.
Yeah, sure.
And I've got a bunch of backlog of things for my long-term followers and fans. I have a Kickstarter from like 2 years ago that I need to finish completing. Life has been kicking my ass. So my plan is to get my deadlines due for my clients, get my Kickstarter delivered to all of my wonderful backers, and then I've got Panic Table and I will be doing something soon together. We're just trying to figure out exactly what it is. This isn't like double speak. It's just we literally are we're just looking at our options. We have so many options, which is a good thing to have.
Wonderful. Yes.
And then Personally, I would like to make some. I've been struggling. I've got a couple weird games in my head, non-Daggerheart games, little tiny games I'd like to make. But for me personally, outside of all the other ecosystems, I really have a bunch of BCA stuff that
Oh,
I
yes.
I have to get on the page. Um, I have a couple of like adventure frame style things that I'd like to set up. I would like to create a proper anomaly manual, like monster manual,
Oh, yeah.
a big thing,
Mhm.
but like get some specific anomalies. Gear, I have all sorts of weird stuff that, and one day I'd love to get it printed, but I'm just not. I'm of the ilk that I'd rather get things done and out there, and we can figure out the logistics of printing things if we get to that point. Um, Much to some people's chagrin, I am a screen first designer, so that is that is where I live.
I,
But
I
yeah,
just saw in chat, Hackcheck.
I'll never stop.
Yes, Hackcheck
That's the
just threw in a little thing. BCA meets the prisoner. What he
yeah,
apparently wants to see.
yeah. I'm into that.
Amazing.
100%. Um, I'll be cryptic about my own stuff. Who knows? Who knows what's
Amazing.
coming?
All right. I
Uh,
think that is it for this extra long creator spotlight. But it was just such a special occasion that I'm so happy that we could go over time. But now I'm actually really hungry. I have to prepare dinner now
yeah, I am
for the
too.
Jimmy
Yeah, I
Raven
haven't
and
eaten
me.
today, so
But
I'm gonna go.
Jack. Um, I was just contacted by Jaybird, whether or not the stream is still running. Anyways, Jack, anyone that you want to shout out, anyone, anything, please. It's your another
Yeah,
stage.
the folks at Darrington, for the support. I Matt Mercer did the pitch before for Road to Nowhere before the stream last night, and it made me giggle like a schoolgirl. I was so excited to see see Matt Mercer yap about the thing I made for 2 seconds. It was really fun. Cameron, Gina, Nick, and Sean, and then Tara, lovely wife, and Nova, my beautiful baby boy. They are the reasons I can do any of these things, and I continue to do these things. And I'm very grateful for everybody, and also all of you. Pretty much everyone in this chat. I'm a fan of. If I know you, so thank you so much.
Wonderful. Thank you as well. From all of my heart, I had such a pleasure. And I believe chat as well. My name is Azu the Bard. I'm one part of Bard and Raven. And I have to say a big thank you to the Jimmy Raven who has been was keeping the chat entertained and sending me all of the questions from you guys. Thank you very much. And this is finally the end for this creator spotlight. But this is a series, and we're just getting started as Elise is doing. But this is probably copyrighted, so I'm saying something else. We're doing more creator spotlights, and I already can tell you guys that there is another one coming next week, Friday, same time as today, where we will be hosting CXZ Man, who is also in chat. Where we
Oh
will
hell
be
yeah!
talking about the 4 new classes that he just
Those classes look
published.
awesome.
Yes,
Yeah, they
they
look
do.
so cool. I
We
was
will
looking at
talk
them
about
last night.
this. Anyways,
Awesome.
this has been it. This has been a blast. I had so much fun. I wish everyone in chat have a wonderful weekend. See you next week if you want. Jack, thank you so much for coming again. And
Thank you
until
again.
next time. Bye bye.